Good morning, everybody. What's up? No rain. It's a beautiful Monday morning, August the 12th, 2013. This is your buddy the dog with you with another edition of Weber This Week. On a beautiful Monday morning in the Finger Lakes, the farmers have left. Yes, Farm Days is history, and nobody got injured from what I understand. They had another great crowd out there at the Rodman Lot Farm as thousands of farmers interested in the farm equipment around the world converged on that farm last week. And I got to give credit to the local authorities. They do a great job with the traffic. It's amazing how well they've got that down after several years. So that, of course, is checked off for 2013. Good morning, everybody. It's H. Weber with you. Hope you had a great weekend. I know I did, and certainly we have no guest today. We're going to go to the old version of the Weber Show, where we'll probably do more of this as the weeks go on. We'll just talk about various topics that caught my one eye and my attention. Without further ado, let's talk about the golfing world around the world, whose focus was on Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester. Jim Senecropia, of course, was there on Friday amidst the rain that they got, but in my judgment, Jason Dufner was the true champion. He hit the shots when he needed to, a little scary on the putting down the stretch yesterday. But Jason Dufner, a well-deserved champion, and I thought Furyk played well. I thought he made some great shots, and Jim, you were up there on Friday, and, of course, your impressions of the PGA. I thought Oak Hill did a marvelous job, and if not for the rain on Friday, which you got part of, or most of it, it would seem to me that the winning score was, 9 or 10 under, and it probably would have been 3 or 4 under without that rain, because after the rain came, these guys ate it up because it was like dartboards on Friday afternoon, and you take away that rainstorm they got on Friday, I'm going to think that final score would have been 3 to 4 under par. Phenomenal golf course.
Yeah, we went up on Friday, and of course, as soon as we get there at about 7:30, it rained till noon. We were standing by the 18th green under the umbrellas, and they played right through it, and the course held the water good. But then after that, it turned into a fantastic day, and it did soften it up. But the best thing about that, any major at Oak Hill, is that that's our golf. That's upstate New York golf. Those are our types of trees that line the fairways, our grasses, and our weather. And it was just beautiful up there. It was fantastic. And a lot of times these major championship courses are so difficult because they're tricked up. Mm-hmm. Greens are super fast and pins are in ridiculous positions. Oak Hill is very difficult, obviously, and the rough is difficult, but it rewards good shots, and and the shots are there for you right in front of you. And that's why Dufner won. I never seen anybody hit the ball as good as he did on Sunday.
Tee to green, he was phenomenal. He just sliced it down the middle of every fairway, and, of course, the balky putter just kept Furyk in it. And I don't think Furyk gagged. I thought Furyk played really solid golf. I think he had a couple of opportunities he didn't take advantage of. I think one of the more interesting points that I took out of the tournament was the 14th hole, drivable by most of those professionals, but a lot of them were getting bogeys because they got themselves in jail if they missed their drive, deep right or deep left. It was amazing, a short hole, and a lot of the leaders, quote-unquote, guys that were chasing were struggling on that hole where a straight drive of some 290 yards would have got you near the green, but it was amazing how some of them just collapsed on what is perceived to be an easy hole. But Oak Hill did proud. And speaking of Jason Dufner, a little human interest story, if you may not know about this, I had a chance to meet John Kirshner, who is a member of Monroe Golf Club, the club that my good friend Dennis Coggins has been a member for several years. Kirshner's family lives, I think, right on Monroe Golf Club, right off the course, I should say. And years ago, when Jason Dufner was a college student at Auburn University, he came and played in the prestigious Monroe Invitational, which all the elite golfers, Tiger Woods, you name it, have come to Monroe to play in that Invitational. Jason Dufner, the Kirshner family, made a habit of bringing in college students to stay with them at their residence, and guess who stayed with them? Jason Dufner. When he was an amateur, and he wasn't a heralded player at that time, certainly did not have the pedigree that a lot of the pros do. And all of a sudden, the PGA comes to Oak Hill in 2013. Who invites Jason to stay with them? The Kirshner family. Where does Jason stay? With the Kirshners. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Great.
And, of course, that's a human interest story that a lot of you folks may not be aware of. But he didn't stay at the Radisson $1,000 suite, which you could easily afford to do. And I thought that was a great backstory to this thing. So Dufner played well, deserved to win the title. And, of course, Tiger Woods, you may want to capsulize his efforts in the majors again this year. He brings his minor game to the majors. It's amazing how the majors have snake-bitten Tiger Woods these last since 2008 when he won at Torrey Pines. I'm not so sure if the Malak is not on that guy come major time. It's amazing. His game just turns from he wins by 8 or 9 shots at a tough Firestone layout, comes to Rochester, and has no clue. Amazing. Just amazing.
Yeah, I think
amazing how he just flat out can't find it.
If you look at his career, he doesn't come from behind. He
Amazing.
wins wire to wire.
Yep.
He blows people away like he did at Firestone last week.
Amazing.
And so if he's in a position where he's got to come back from 3 or 4 or 5 shots, he's pretty much done. And
it just seems like his putter just doesn't work at the majors anymore. I don't know what it is about him. It's a scary thought. Obviously, one of the best players in the world, probably one of the best second or third all-time greatest players ever. When his game is finally done, he puts the clubs in the trunk for the final time. But it's amazing, this Malak, and I think it's the Sicilian Malak that my wife Mary can speak of. It's amazing when Wood shows up at a major. Unfortunately, with a couple of exceptions, he's not a factor. And Jack's 18 majors may still be there when Tiger Woods calls it quits, because I don't know.
Well, they interviewed Nicholas on Golf Channel last night, and they said Nicholas thinks he'll still get it because he says he's got 10 years. That's 40 more majors.
Right.
And the physical shape that he's in, and most of the pros now, they might be able to do it past 50.
But
so you figure he's got 40 more majors.
Right.
And the thing is, Tiger's not playing bad. He just won a major PGA event the week before by 9 shots.
And he's won 5 this year.
Yeah. It's just, so you're right. It's just the majors that he's not doing it in. And
but how much money would you, the viewer this morning, put on? Would you have gone to the bank and taken out a loan and put down $50,000 in 2008 that Tiger Woods would not go 5 years without winning one? Think about that. Would you have taken every asset that you have in your possession and put it in Las Vegas, saying that he would have won at least one in 5 years? Think about that. That's a scary thought. And you would have been over. You would have lost that $50,000. Can you imagine it? I mean, I don't know. Certainly I don't have the resources, but I would have put a couple of grand on that fact if somebody would give me an opportunity. Hey, Woods isn't going to win a major in 5 years. What? Not a chance. By the way, a couple other notes on the PGA. My wife, Mary, and myself watched it yesterday in our confines of our living room. And I got to tell you, it's really getting old. These young whippersnapper college students, I'm assuming they're college students, they might be out of school. This screaming at the tee shots is just so irritating to me.
Mashed potatoes.
Baba booey. Oh, I mean, it's just outrageous. I think we need to get the taser gun and get a cop to loan the taser and just taser these kids, throw them in a police car and get them off the course. That, to me, is the most frustrating thing about watching golf week to week, and it seems to get amplified during majors. There's no excuse for acting like a bunch of idiots. If you can't handle the beer, don't drink the beer.
They're drunk.
They're too drunk. And I'll tell you what now, I'm really disappointed in the PGA, and I'm also disappointed with Fincham and the way he runs the PGA Tour. They don't get these kids, and I mean, they're mostly 20 to 30-year-old guys that are doing this stuff. It's ludicrous, and it's not a good chance to show how embarrassing they make themselves when they scream like a bunch of idiots. What's this mashed potatoes all about? I haven't figured that one out. So, and I know I'm an American citizen. I was born in Lyons, New York in 1945. But I want to tell you something. You can talk all you want about Europe, but you go to Europe and check out the European Tour. You check out the British Open every year, obviously, in Europe, somewhere in Europe. They don't do that. You know why? The fans revere the game. The fans respect the game. If you hear some idiot screaming at a British Open, it's an American. Trust me. The British fans understand the game of golf. They respect the game of golf, unlike the Americans. And I'm not picking on all Americans, but there's a 1% of these idiots that keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and it just turns you off. And I hope that they taser them, drag them to a police car, throw them off the course. And it'll never happen, I guess, in my lifetime, but I had to get that off my chest. There's no way to conduct yourself like that if you're watching golf. Applaud on great shots, even applaud on bad shots if you want to, but the screaming has got to come to a screeching halt, and it probably never will, because they sell beer at the major golf tournaments. As a matter of fact, they sell beer at any golf tournament.
$8 Jenny Cream Ales.
There you go.
Oak Hill.
Hello. So it was a great tournament, and Oak Hill did themselves proud. They should really, you got to tip their hat to the Oak Hill. They've been there, done that. They exactly know how to put on a golf classic unlike anything else, and I'm sure they'll be back on the rotation for another major in 10 or 12 years whenever the rotation sees that opportunity. So there you go on the PGA. Jason Dufner, a deserving winner, and, of course, notching his first major of his career, which, by the way, may not be his last. Well, let's move on and talk about some other topics. How about the Mets? You know, I always pick on the Mets on this show, and I make a habit of nailing the Mets, and I got to continue to nail them. I keep watching some of the replays on the Mets. You know what? They got some strong arms. I will give you credit on them, all you Met fans, all 5 of you. But you know what? They got some great arms in Wheeler, G, Harvey. Harvey's an exceptional pitcher, but they don't have anything else. They're 17 out in the loss column. Atlanta's playing lights out, the Braves. They are phenomenal. They don't rebuild every year, Atlanta. They just reload. It's an amazing story with Atlanta's baseball franchise. And I send out kudos to Leslie Ullman, who's a big Braves fan, and she has every right to smile every day because it seems like the Braves win every single day, too. But, you know, you look at the Mets, and I get so tired of the celebrations after they win 1 out of 6 games. They're jumping up and down at home plate like a bunch of little leaguers. That just excites me to no end, turns me off on the reverse osmosis. Sorry, I don't see it. I don't understand it. If I was their manager, Terry Collins, get off the field, you slugs. You're 17 out. Where you going? You're going nowhere. You're going to Topeka. Stop embarrassing yourself. You're jumping up and down. Somebody hits a home run, wins 3-2. You're 17 out. What kind of celebration? I don't get it. I've never understood that to the day I'll die, but it just turns me off. And the Mets need to get some players into New York. Trust me. David Wright's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's on the DL. They got strong arms, but that ownership needs to spend a whole bunch of millions to bring in some players to make that team competitive once again. And they're a long ways from that happening. The Yankees, well, I thought I never would say this on this show, but I'm of the opinion, put a fork in them. I know they won yesterday on the home run by Gardner, but you know what? They just don't got it. No, they got a druggie at third. They got half the team on the disabled list, and I just don't see the Yankees making a comeback. So I am proclaiming on Weber this week, they're out of here. See ya. Chalk it up. And I think the A-Rod playing of him is just ridiculous. I know they have that appeals process, but he doesn't belong on the diamond. And big deal, he had a home run yesterday. Gee, what? You're only paying a guy $27 million a year. You think he might have a home run once in a while? And as far as the Yankees go, I'm a big Derek Jeter fan. And if you follow baseball, you have to be a Derek Jeter fan too. Why? No controversy. He goes out, plays his position, plays outstanding shortstop, key hitter, first ballot Hall of Famer. If some idiot writer doesn't vote him in when the time is right for the Hall of Fame, they should take him out back and shoot him between the eyes. That guy is a phenomenal player. But what I'm concerned about is Derek's getting on the DL every few weeks. Got the bad quad, got the bad hip, got the bad leg, got the bad foot. Maybe it's time, Derek. He's got zillions of dollars. He's the most respected major league player out there. Maybe it's time to check out, get your time clock, punch the thing, and see ya. I would hate to see him hang on, keep going on the disabled list, and maybe you agree with me and maybe you don't. That's why I do this show. But I like to see Derek Jeter say, see ya, because I don't think at age 40 or near 40, his injuries are going to go away. And I'd hate to see him hobbling out of there, out of Yankee Stadium after his great, phenomenal career as a Yankee. What's up with Mariano Rivera? He's lost 3 save opportunities, I believe, out of the last 4 appearances. Who would have thunk that? So even Mariano Rivera is showing that he's human as well.
They're old. The Yankees are old.
They are an old team, and it's just embarrassing. So I hope, in fact, that you Yankee fans don't take umbrage to this comment, but I think you can put a fork in them.
It's going to be 10 years, dog.
I know.
Till they get back.
I know.
It's going to be like the 80s all over again.
Exactly. Switching to baseball, though, staying on baseball, how about Mattingly and the Dodgers? Let's flash back about 7 weeks ago. Rumor had it that the ownership of the Dodgers were going to fire Don Mattingly. The Dodgers were expected to be in the hunt in the National League West, and they were playing like pigs. Mattingly was on the firing block. It was like a matter of a day or two the announcement was going to be made. Guess what? He could be manager of the year. Have you checked it lately? The Dodgers are winning at about an 85% clip. They won again yesterday. Amazing turnabout. They got material. They got some great pitching led by Kershaw. The Dodgers, Mattingly, who was going to get axed, could literally, if they keep on playing like they are, he could be manager of the year.
And you can thank Yasiel Puig for that.
That's right. So the L.A. Dodgers, they are playing super, super baseball. Well, speaking of the world of golf, I don't normally get shocked at my age of 68 and a half years of age, but I somehow got shocked when I heard that Meg Mellon, the American captain for the upcoming Solheim Cup, picked her team and a couple of wild cards. One of the wild cards was Michelle Wie. Are you serious? Let's think about this. Michelle Wie, the phenom of 5-6 years ago when she came on tour, when she came out as a 14 or 15-year-old, she played well. She hit the ball straight. She made some putts. She went to Stanford, and to her credit, she got her 4-year degree at Stanford, which is an outstanding university. She was playing part-time LPGA, going to school. Stanford's not an easy school to graduate. She did it. She did an outstanding job. I applaud that. Ever since her college degree got handed to her, her game has gone south, baby. She is clueless. I've watched her. I've always followed Michelle. She can't hit her driver. She can't hit her irons. She can't putt. Did you see her putt now, her new putting stroke and her stance? She bends over. She's 6'1", 6'2". She's a tall lady. She looks like a giraffe in heat. Are you serious? Did you ever see her putt? Check her out. Go on MichelleWee.com and maybe get some video of her. I can't believe that Meg Mellon picked Michelle. I'm a big Michelle fan. She's lost her game completely. How do you pick her to represent the Americans in the Solheim Cup? There's just no justification for it. Jim made a comment before the show that it's for ratings. No doubt he's correct, because it certainly isn't based on her golf game. Well, let's move to the Glen. How about the Glen? A lot of great people down there at the Glen. My good friend Dave and Johnny Millis and all the Millis' family up in Geneva and a host of others go there every year. Dave makes that a 4 or 5 day extravaganza. And they have a wonderful time, cooking out, having a good time. They got some rain, but it was a perfect Saturday and Sunday for them down at the Glen. And the winner, Kyle Busch. Brad Keselowski finishes third. Martin Truex finishes third. Truex finished third. Keselowski finished second. The winner, Kyle Busch, dominating at Watkins Glen. And it's always been amazing to me. I've been down there to cover it I covered it when I was with WSFW. That's how many years I'm going back. But it's amazing to me they can take care of those crowds. One road up, one road back. It's on top of a hill, the racetrack. It's scary how they move the traffic out of that little town. If you've ever been to Watkins Glen, drive through Watkins Glen. And think about going up that hill and coming down that hill, and there's the racetrack. And getting all those people in and out of there is pretty mind-boggling. You talk about Ripley's, believe it or not. No way anybody would have a racetrack in Watkins Glen if they ever had to start over. But they have a way of doing it. Kudos to the local authorities and the traffic people that make that work every single year. And speaking of Tony Stewart, of course, everybody's critical of Tony now for going around the country and racing. He's been in Canandaigua. He's been at Fulton. He's been at the Black Rock. He's been at a host of local tracks around our area. And he travels all over the country with his private plane to race during the week. People are critical of him doing that because he doesn't need to do it for the money. He's a multimillionaire. But I take a different view of that. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful that Tony Stewart will go to local tracks. And if Jim Centocorp is running a track that averages 3,000 people on a Saturday night, when Stewart comes to town, it's 12,000. They up their ante by 400% normally. Look at the statistics of what these tracks get when Tony shows up. So to me, I think it's wonderful. Yeah, he got injured, and he was leading too when he got injured, which is kind of scary. But I think it's wonderful what he does. I wish more sports athletes around the world would do that. Go to the local towns, support the local fairs, race. I think it's wonderful. I feel bad for Tony, but I still think I don't agree with the detractors that say he should not do that.
The thing that's kind of cool about it is that he obviously loves racing. He doesn't need the money.
Doesn't need the money.
And so he come to a place like Canandaigua, but it is kind of crazy. The 2 times recently he did that, he caused big crashes. And
but I think it's great for the sport of racing. And I think fans love it.
Oh, absolutely. They love it.
When you go to Canandaigua, spend $10, $15, $20 to get in, and you got Tony Stewart coming to town, are you serious?
Now, the guy who might not like it is one of those guys who wrecked in the in one of those races who might not have the budget that old Tony has to repair his car and stuff. And maybe they might say, too, geez, Tony Stewart doesn't race on dirt that often, so that's why these accidents are happening. But nonetheless, to have a big name, a national brand like Tony Stewart come to a place like Canandaigua is awesome.
And Tony, of course, the only thing I would take a shot at Tony, him and his partner Haas Stewart Racing Team that own a bunch of cars. A couple of weeks ago, they sat down with Ryan Newman and say that, Ryan, you're not coming back next year. They ended his contract with Haas Stewart Racing. Ryan has had an up-and-down career. He's an Indiana boy, and they announced to Ryan that he would not be coming back. Haas Stewart is bringing Kevin Harvick to their stable next year. And the very next week, what does Ryan Newman win? One of the most prestigious races out there. By the way, his hometown, Indianapolis, which is one of the more prestigious races on the NASCAR circuit. I wonder if Haas Stewart have second thoughts of releasing Ryan Newman. Not to worry, though. Ryan will find a seat somewhere coming off that impressive win. And, of course, it's Monday morning. It means I got to take my weekly shot at Danica Patrick. Danica finishes 20th at the Glen. Not bad. 43 cars. She finished midway, obviously, in the pack. But, folks, her average finish since Daytona. Bob, are you listening? Are you checking out me this morning? Leslie Oman, I know they're big fans of Danica. Have you guys noticed her average finish since Daytona? 25th. 25th. And they're paying this woman all this money to finish 25th on an average. I don't think that's impressive. To me, that's not impressive. Top 10, top 15, I'd be impressed. But when you tell me you're top 25 and you're averaging 25th place finish week in and week out, that to me doesn't excite me. There's only 43 cars. That means you're not even better than half of the field week in and week out. So, again, I throw stones at Danica. I throw ice water at Danica because I don't think she belongs with the men in the NASCAR circuit. I've told you that from the day she got the ride. I'll tell you that to the day I leave the airwaves. This is Weber This Weekend. Before we go, we want to find out from our great sponsors. We'll come back with a couple of comments. As you Johnny Miller fans, you better enjoy him next year because after that, he's gone. Welcome back, everybody. It's a dog with you on another edition of Weber This Week. Of course, I won't be here next week. I'm not sure if Jim's going to be doing the show or doing something else. We'll let you know during the course of the week.
We'll be here.
Unfortunately, we'll be doing something here. Unfortunately, my schedule the next several months will be up and down like a yo-yo, but we'll keep you posted of when the dog will be sitting in the chair. They always say money talks and everybody else walks. And, of course, the Fox Sports Network, you must give them credit. Why do you give them credit? Well, remember when they emerged in the world of getting the Super Bowl and getting football on the Fox channels? You remember that? They spent $1 zillion to do that, but money's no object for the Fox people. And, of course, they got Major League Baseball. They got soccer. They've got some of the premier events. Hold your horses. You talk about a premier event, the USGA, the United States Golf Association, will all of their signature events, the Ladies Open, the Senior Open, all the amateur events that they put on, and, of course, the premier Filet-McNaught event is, of course, the Men's U.S. Open. And, of course, who's been covering that for 30 or 40 years? NBC Sports. Do I need to bring up Dan Hicks, the guy in the booth, the host of the coverage for NBC? Do I need to mention the legendary Johnny Miller, Hall of Famer? Johnny Miller, who does great commentary and is a great analyst. He tells it the way it is. He criticizes players, and he's got a right to do that because he's been there, done that. He's a Hall of Famer. He doesn't hold back on his commentary. I think Johnny Miller is by far the best analyst on golf in the world that we currently have on our TVs. But guess what? Bidding was up for the USGA contract. It's a 10-year deal. Who do you think got it? Fox. So, $100 million a year. For 10 years, they're paying the USGA, and now Fox has grabbed the USGA contract away from NBC. Shock City. NBC was a little low on their bid. Fox comes in, bids $100 million for exclusivity of all USGA events starting in 2015, running through 2025. $100 million. What does that mean? Well, next year you better enjoy Dan Hicks and Johnny Miller, because after that, they're out of here. Then the Fox people are going to try to put together a team to telecast the world of USGA. What an amazing story. Money talks, Jim.
Yeah.
You know that, and it's all about the dollar. USGA had no allegiance to keep it with NBC. They went for the bucks.
And when I think of the U.S. Open, I can see all the NBC overlay graphics on there, and the Golf Channel has a relationship with the USGA and are with NBC, and so everything will be different, and so it will be very interesting to see what type of telecast Fox puts together, who their hosts will be, you know, what their graphics and music will be. It'll be something different because these golf majors, the Masters is always on CBS, U.S. Open's on NBC, British Open's on ABC, ESPN, and the PGA's on CBS. That's the way it's been for forever.
A zillion years. And by the way, the only good news about the NBC losing the contract, to me anyways, is no more ESPN. Thank God. No more Chris Berman. I love Chris Berman. I love the Boomer. But as far as a golf host, goodbye. No more Curtis Strange. No more. I'm sorry. No more of those ESPN anchors coming to try to do golf. They had no clue as far as golf. And Chris Berman's a 26 handicapper, if he's that. I mean, come on. I love Chris. Doing SportsCenter and doing his NFL host show pre and post games, he's great. But when you put him in a golf environment, he's clueless. He hits the ball from me to Jim Senecropia away. I could play better than him, and that's how scary my game is. So my whole point is, hey, I think the only good news about this, we no longer will have to deal with ESPN on the Thursday, Friday coverage in another year and a half. That's the only good news I see of Fox taking over. And by the way, speaking of Fox, rumor has it they're trying to put together a package to offer to Greg Norman to be the analyst for upcoming USGA events. And he obviously would be a guy that would be a great fit because he's been there, done that, and he's got an outstanding career and a great resume. So that's strictly in the rumor trails right now. But shocking to me, as I'm so used to seeing Johnny Miller and hearing him in the booth, we're not going to see him after 2014. Now, of course, next year's U.S. Open will be at Pinehurst, number 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we certainly hope you've enjoyed the show. We're going to do more of these types of shows because it's kind of way I started doing shows way back when we just went over some bunch of topics, and we know that we'll bring in some guests occasionally, but we like to go back to the old way as well. So we hope that you enjoy your week. By the way, the weather forecast is supposed to be darn nice, so we wish that you all enjoy your week and go out and play some golf, cut the grass, maybe do some weeding for your wife or your girlfriend, and have a great week, everybody. Until next time, that's Weber This Week.